Here we are again. Welcome, welcome. I was trying to find myself back into the position I was in this morning, and I think I have found it. It's been a few hours since I was working on this painting. I'm just back from the book festival there, and my intention first had been to start a mixed media painting of flowers, but this would be the spot that I would paint it in, and so I feel that I don't want to disturb this sunflower until this painting is completed, or at least until I've done a bit more to it anyway. I want to have more time on it. So I hope it's not a foolhardy decision. I'm kind of going with my instinct here, because I did want to do something for the multimedia, mixed media flower, online flower course that starts on Monday. I like to do a new video, even although I've got quite a few videos. I always like to start with a new one, best I can. And so that's what my intention had been originally. Before I thought it through and remembered that this one is, well, before I came back and saw this and remembered how much I enjoyed painting this morning. And if I move it, I feel like it's kind of, and start another one, it's like closing a chapter and starting a new one on a different book or something. And it's just maybe more complex than I want. I like to keep things simple best I can. So I'm just continuing with the kind of jigsaw pieces of these greens as they click into each other, these shapes that make up this dying sunflower. It doesn't, I suppose, yeah, it is dying, but it's also still beautiful in the wilting of the petals and things. And particularly I love this viewpoint of the sunflower somehow. Turn to the side there, you know. Okay, so I'm just going to find the darks and lights best I can. Again, find my way back in. The light seems more or less the same as it was this morning. I think mostly the light is coming from the back window here. Yeah, because there's windows. We're lucky that way in our living room. We've got windows on each side of the living room, but there's not so much light coming through from the window in the front of the house, because it's it's mostly because it's far away. It is quite bright over there now, actually. But the flowers are closest to this window here. Right, so let's see. Just navigating my way around. I am conscious of wanting to start on the yellow soon. Okay. Yeah, there's some changes to the tones on this leaf actually since this morning, but it's more or less the same. More or less the same. Yeah, maybe what I could do now is move into the bright yellows, even if I'll return again to the greens fairly soon to fill in some of the gaps and things. I'm just cleaning the yellow space in the palette with the cloth, and also I may as well clean in here too. I want everything to be as clean as possible for the yellow, so that we can get that beautiful sunflower brightness in the painting. The water is quite clean still. Picking up some of the cadmium yellow and to try this out because I don't want it to be too wet. Just to see what the colour is like. And then there's peril orange here. I would say that cadmium orange mixed into the cadmium yellow would work too, to explain this brightness that I'm seeing. Maybe I'll begin with the wilted petal that's there. That one that was kind of crossing over from the greens. Just to kind of see the tone against the greens as well. No, what's this? That's the petal in front. No, that's the leaf in front, I mean. I suppose I could have made things a little bit simpler for myself by doing the stem. Maybe go back to my blue-green. I've got a colour here that's on the brush that's quite good now for the stem, I think. It really was just the mix of the yellow coming back. The mix of the yellow with the ultramarine blue that was on the brush. Because I changed my brushes like I was saying earlier. I switched back. I think I need a little bit more warmth. Put a bit more of the pearl orange in. In order to get that kind of more of a dusty green that I'm seeing in the sunflower stem. I'm looking at the negative space where it stems down into the bottle too, and how far down this it comes. I'll take a photo of the sunflower from my angle in order that if you wanted to paint it, you could paint along after I've done the video. I think there's a kind of yellow ochreish quality to the light on the right hand side of the stem then. I want to just give a nod to, yeah, I think it's something like that. Not quite yellow ochre because it had a mix of other yellows in it, but let's see. I'm going for more of a pure yellow ochre this time, which looks like that. I think that's what I'm noticing in here. And maybe there's a touch of it in the green here too. But it's not such an evident thing that I need to single it out really like that. And there's something happening. Oh, I didn't really want them merging. It's okay. I just want to say there's something happening just behind the yellows too. That's a little darker than them. The band here, you know, but I can let that sit for a while before it dries. Just to let it dry before putting any colour in there. And there's kind of a lime green quality to the edge as well, I think, here. Like a printed mark of blue-green, maybe. Which I'm using a combination of the Viridian green, I think, and the Hooker's green for that. It's really, that's the colour at the bottom there, but it's very much diluted. So I hope it'll give me a kind of a bluish hint to that edge. Okay, I'll lift out some of the colour so that the bluish hint is what's left. Alright, now let's see. I do feel I want to keep going again with a little bit more of the green, just with my eyes half closed now. I want to capture some of these mid-tones and let things merge a little so that we recognise each leaf as the individual leaves that they are, and not be so to just kind of free up a little more. Maybe it's the time of day too that I've got more of a vigour and kind of willingness to move more quickly than I did in the morning. And I also am aware that I would like to do that video that I spoke about, the mixed media one as well. But for now I am fully focused on what's here. And the thing is that restriction of some sort can be a helpful thing. There's children going past the path in the back. I need to stop Maisie from barking at them. Having the restriction of time is a helpful thing for me sometimes. So that's the restriction I've placed on myself here, is that I suppose one of them would be that this is a watercolour painting of this flower in this light. These are the parameters. And I'm using these flat brushes and I'm giving myself I'm kind of carving out the time within reason, but in knowing in advance that I've not got tons of time for this, informs the way that I look at it, the things that I decide to leave out, I suppose, which is kind of a good thing, because often I think we do see too much. Just trying to see when I close one eye and then the other eye, different things happen. And I just want to see which eye is closest when I close it, because I want to capture these leaves that are extending out from behind the stem. And I think when I close my left eye, that seems the truest to what's already on the page. So that's just what I'm going to do. I think it only features when I'm looking at these leaves behind the stem. It's only important to close one eye then. It's darker. There's a little film of light against the stem again. But the leaf is darkest as it nears the stem, which highlights those tiny hairs that are bright. Those tiny hairs that are bright on the edge of the stem there. Putting a bit of yellow into the sap green, because that leaf is I just want to paint the rest of it, really, just decide what's happening with it. It's quite yellow-green in some places and then quite blue-green in other places. And I think I want to lift off some of this, where the paint has accumulated reads as being darker, and actually the bottom of it really needs to read as being lighter. The darkest bit of the leaf being where it meets the stem, where it's overlapped by the stem, if you like. And also there's a dark patch down here. I can deepen the tone of it later on, but just it's kind of enough for me at the moment to have done something there. Although I do want to put something for the stem on the leaf itself, which I think has a kind of almost orangey dark feel to it here. quite that orange, but let's see. Okay. And there's a rusty hint to the tip of the leaf too. Again, I don't know if it's quite that bright. I'll just use one of the smaller brushes, hopefully that are clean and just damp, to chisel away some of that leaf shape there. I think it just needs to end in like that. And just to clarify it one more bit, I'm going to use a clean edge of this toilet paper now to print off. I often say to people not to use toilet paper, but I've run out of kitchen roll and have decided to succumb to the toilet paper route. And maybe now it's dried enough that I can re-establish the dark on this leaf here as it's overlapped and as it meets its own stem there. Alright, and then there's that one, which is also quite dark at its base. I hesitated there because there's a smaller shape I'm trying to make, and I wonder whether I should use a smaller brush. The next size down is quite a big leap. It's not even a 1/4 inch. Unless I get it out of the box. I suppose I could get it out of the box. It's not such a big leap. I'll use the 1/4 inch one for this next shape. Just noticed my belly sank a tiny bit there as I saw it, as I looked at the painting actually. I think it's something to do with feeling like I'm playing it safe, or I'm not sure. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on that feeling. I certainly feel that I'm still interested in what I'm doing. I'm still interested in exploring this beauty further. So while that's still there, I'm feeling quite heartened and not worried. Sometimes a sinking feeling can be the ego wanting things to look differently or something. But I think if it's still imbued with your own interest, you don't have to change what you're doing. I think that's the thing. But it's good to keep an eye too that it is curiosity that's driving, and not wanting to produce a particular thing that's already set somewhere in your head or something. Well, I don't know. It's hard sometimes to avoid having some sort of preconceived ideas about how it might end up, but I think I've been doing it long enough to know that I can laugh at that side of me that thinks it might know what it might end up as, really, because it's such an unknown every time brush goes to paper. By its nature, it's unknown. What the water will do with the colour and what my eyes will see in that moment to be translated. And I feel like it's all valid enough. There's a dark here that's significant as it comes up. Yeah. Just trying to detangle these from each other. So there's that, and then that leaf goes down like that. And then it meets this one. It gets a bit brighter where it comes to the edge. And then there's a very dark colour in between the two. I'm digging into the ultramarine blue in order to capture that dark that sits, I think, here. Ultramarine blue and the Van Dyke brown. The old faithful duo. I'll pull this across and left where I see the edge of this leaf. And then there's a dark one in here. It also has a pointy end to it. I'm just noticing the shape of the space between this dark pointy ended one and this dark pointy end. Shape of that negative space in there. Okay. And then there's the dark. So this bends over and kind of merges with the dark that's there down to here. And there's some pointy bits that are brighter coming out towards me that are explained by the darker ones behind, including that one I've just painted and this other one going in an opposite direction. And then really, I think I can afford for this generally to be shadow. I used to always say stand back and look at the whole thing. Sometimes I'm kind of inspired to not let myself look at the whole thing for a while. I'm just realising that now, that to look at the whole thing might deter me a bit from being true to what I'm seeing almost. Interesting. I never thought of that before, really. Maybe there's a certain momentum and I don't want to disturb that momentum by seeing everything together. Now there's a leaf back here that's almost translucent. It's kind of yellow, greeny yellow colour. And it comes up to meet the stem of this leaf, which is significantly darker than it. So I'll pick up a darker colour now, some brown and blue into it, to get the dullness of this leaf shape back here. I'm pulling and lifting where it's darkest, lifting it where the darkest colour is. There's a hint of something kind of orangey in this space here. And here, this is light, but it's got a colour in it, so I'm putting a colour in it. And this is darker. I'm kind of starting to have an overview of the whole thing again now, deciding where the darkest greens are. No, Maisie. Okay. Oh, yeah, I was going to make that bright yellow green one back here. Well, maybe some cerulean blue will be the thing to describe the colour of this, the main bulk of this leaf here. I think cerulean blue mixed with a little bit of yellow. That's the cerulean blue colour there. And I think if that were to be, well, I'll try it even just on its own, because at the moment I want something that'll really differentiate this leaf from the others. Stop it, Maisie. Go away. No. Go away. I know, you go out later. No. Stop it. I'll put a bit more green into that at the end, because it changes colour there. It goes more greenish than bluish. And don't worry, I'll be taking her out after this video. You hear that, Maisie? Stop. Don't go away. Go away. Go away. I shouldn't have said anything to her. Go on away. Out. Oh yeah, there's a bit under here. That's not yet been painted. Good girl, Maisie. We've got our usual chorus of flies going to say bumblebees, that would have been nice. But now I've got a few flies in the house again with the doors open. I'm going to carry on with the green. The darker green on the bulk of the leaf that comes up to meet this curving bit. But the curving bit is actually darker in tone than I have it. So, and it's darker than that bit of green there. So just deepen the tone of that, deepen the tone of this bit, and then maybe I'll let this edge be printed on, and it can merge in a kind of a bluish green way from here across. Same colours there. And there's another section divided with two veins here, divided with two light veins. Particularly light is this second vein that's down below this shape. So I want to explain the patch of green beyond it in order to highlight its brightness. Maybe even pushing and lifting the brush at that vein so that it heightens the contrast again. Still keeping it separate from that shape though. And there's a vein there too. And there's a vein there too. And here. Not as significant, but they're there. Okay. And then I just want to, with half closed eyes, give a nod to whatever green is happening in here. Because there is something darker than what's already in my painting that's happening there. It's the same as that dark. And that's not white either. But it'll remain white until the patches of green beside it are dry enough for me to wash a different colour in, because these patches are darker and I would like them to remain darker. Don't know if it makes sense, but it feels like this is related to some phrase that came to me yesterday. Tracking beauty. To try and track beauty in, like, all the time. But I suppose you could say that painting is a way of tracking beauty, tracking the beautiful, finding it and tracking it then. You kind of have to find the scent for it, like, and I think that only happens through attention, really. So I suppose that's what trackers do, isn't it? They pay attention, deep attention. All right. And I guess the thing with trackers too is that sometimes the attention pays off and they find their prey or whatever they're looking for. other times, no matter how well they've tracked, they might lose it. That's my get-out clause there. Maybe one false move or something. Or outer circumstances like lashing rain or something might make it impossible for them to track the thing to the end. But I suspect that they would have a kind of philosophical bent on it, like I'd say, that they might say, well, it didn't diminish the experience, maybe. And probably, no. I suppose if it's like...
Hi, puppy.
Jesus. That's my friend on Parallel Play. She's probably feeling sorry for Maisie. Got a fright. Anyway, I was going to say that's my Western brain being all kind of philosophical when actually, if people are tracking food, meat for food, animals for food, they probably wouldn't so easily think of the philosophical thing or whatever. I don't know. I'm getting mixed up now. Who am I? I often think, who am I to be talking about stuff that I have no idea about, you know? And then I just think, sure, you know that I don't have any idea about it. I might as well, you know, I'll say my piece, I suppose, from where I'm standing. With the knowledge I have. As Maya, I think it was Maya Angelou who said, do your best until you know better, and then do better. And I think there's a perfectionist streak in us, like as artists, as human beings really. That means that we kind of prevent, it almost would prevent us doing anything. Because it's not going to be perfect, like, there's that streak. And I think that's the one that might be a silencing one as well, you know. The thing that says you can't talk about stuff you don't know all about. I'm interested in all that stuff, though. I'm interested in finding out. I'm going to give Maisie this toilet roll because she can at least...
Hello, dog. Hi, doggy.
I'm just going to pause the video a sec.